I tested positive for HIV in 1987. For like 7 years, I was in denial about having HIV. Um, and I thought I was going to be the next one to die. People are dying so much that you couldn't keep up with who had died. I hadn't done anything different than they had done, so I knew my time was coming, and I said, well, let it be. After laying there waiting for my funeral and waiting for them to have my funeral service, I didn't look like it was coming. I had been laying there 7 years, so I said, I guess I better brush this dirt off of me and throw these flowers onto the side and find out why am I still here. And that day, I rose from the dead. I went to the doctor. I got ridiculed. Went through all that humiliation that you had to go through in that waiting room. And I got my medicine and I started trying to take care of myself. It was not possible to get a regular job. I couldn't even go at McDonald's and get a job. I knew women that had went to college and could not get a job. They had a college degree, but because they were trans and because they were black too, they wouldn't even consider the application. Usually, you're told the story, well, we've hired for that position already. Maybe come back and apply again. Then, your application thrown in the garbage when you leave. Or, they start snickering and laughing, and the employees and all, look who in the office. And then the word spreads around, and you keep seeing people's heads duck behind the door looking to see who you are. And people are so ignorant. That's why I knew education was the key to opening the doors that I need to have open um, for my community. Well, the factors that can contribute to the high infection rate, especially for black trans women who are mostly engaged in sex work, and they engage in sex work because of discrimination in employment. If I can't get a job, I still got to feed myself. That's the constant scenario that's always going in your mind is where I'm going to eat, where I'm going to sleep, how I'm going to get some clothes. You cannot even think anywhere past that because it takes all of that to just live when you don't have a job. You don't have insurance. You can't go to a doctor. You can't get your hormones so you can transition better so you could maybe one day get a job. It's just all those factors that drive you to do have unprotected sex, to not value yourself, to not feel good about yourself, to where you want to protect yourself, from getting this disease. I started being an AIDS activist around the time I got my first job as a woman. Had never had a job as myself before. And it was actually at the clinic where I was receiving treatment. And I was outside, when I would go for my doctor's appointments, I would go and take care of everybody while I'm waiting to see my doctor. Rolling wheelchairs, helping folks in and out of the cars. So this guy that was working for this agency that was there in the clinic came up, said, Miss DeeDee, what do you do down here? I said, nothing, I'm here for a doctor's appointment. He said, you work here? I said, no. He said, "You want a job?" I said, "Yes." That first day, going to work with my briefcase was just monumental for me. This was the year 2004. When I got to the door to clinic that first day, the spirit stopped me and said, "Look across the street." When I looked across the street, I started getting flashbacks of me jumping in and out of cars on that corner. And I remembered that that's where the corner I used to work on. My spirit spoke to me and said, "Look how long it took for you to cross the street." And I just collapsed right there. I didn't even go in the door. It was just so surreal, coming full circle for me, a full circle moment. So that would be the moment I would say that started me really into activism. I founded Legenda in 2000. I was tired of being disrespected. I was tired of people spitting on the sidewalk when they saw me. I was tired of people not acknowledging that I was a human being. And I said, "I'm tired of laying down now. I'm finna get up." And this is after several years of living with HIV and AIDS. And during that era of the Holocaust, and I call it a Holocaust because I saw my community devastated by the droves. I saw several people die under bridges and in abandoned houses alone. People didn't want to touch us. Even when you went to the doctor, the nurses didn't want to touch you. As far as being misgendered, that was the norm. You were going to be disrespected. You were going to be made to feel less than, and you were going to not get the best care. That's the reason I founded Legenda, because I wanted to create a voice in this state. I trained everybody, and I had to do it for free because I knew they weren't going to pay me. They pay me now, but they weren't going to pay me to come and speak. But I knew I had to get my people in those doors, so I know they had to be educated first. Because they used to ask me when I would go to the Ryan White Council, "Miss DeeDee, we don't never see nobody but you. Where are the rest of them?" I said, "They ain't coming until I get y'all trained." I said, "You are not ready." I said, "As soon as y'all get ready, they'll be coming, because you're going to start treating them and respecting them in the way that they want to be treated and respected, and you're going to start seeing them." I think the similarities between trans men and trans women, one a reoccurring theme, is that we all want to be loved. And in that pursuit, we do risky things, what leaves us vulnerable and exposed to becoming HIV positive, because that opens up a big door when you're searching for love, and yes, in all the wrong places, but if you can get it there, you want it. The differences, trans man can maneuver because they can transition much more convincingly. They can maneuver in society a lot more than, say, I could, which is good in a lot of ways because you can get a lot of things done, and it's not as bad for us getting a job. because people will hire you even if you're a real butch. They'll hire you still, and and it won't be like it was if it was for me. My proudest accomplishment is the White House and meeting President Obama and Miss Obama, and having my blog appear on the White House website on trans equality. I had dinner with President Obama and Miss Obama. And how do a sex worker from the West Side get to the White House? That was monumental for me because that right there stated that I existed and I am no longer invisible. L'Amour.